Hey, how's it going? Man, everyone's in here so early. Thank you so much. Man, how's it going? How's everyone doing? Happy Saturday. Things sound a little bit different here. Let me adjust one thing. Wow, why does everything... I know why. This mic isn't even on. I'm still recording this, so I have another mic in here. It's actually picking it up pretty decently. So I have a YouTube mic in here. My Twitch mic isn't on. Give me one more second. I apologize. Man, rookie mistake. It's a rookie hour. Give me 1 second. Check, check, check. Hey, that's better. Whoa. Wow. How's it going? Wow. So anyways, how's it going? Happy Saturday. I apologize for that. Yeah, I have multiple mics and multiple cameras, as you can probably guess. But one up here is I specifically use exclusively for YouTube, and basically this one's just for Twitch or live streaming or anything else. And then this one's for all my Zoom calls. So I guess I have lots of microphones. But anyways, how's it going? Happy Saturday. What are you guys working on? First of all, yeah, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to spend it with me. Hopefully you guys are working on something awesome, something cool, finishing something up, debating whether or not you should start something else. So yeah, let me know. Let me know what I can help with too. If there's something like, hey, you have this question and you haven't had a chance to get a hold of me, not that I'm that hard to get a hold of, but now's your time. So let me know. And there's also a huge community of people in here too that can help as well. So let me know. But before we get started, real quick, couple of things. Archimedes, A3000, thanks so much. Tier 1 sub, 2 months, 1 month strength. Thank you so much. Thanks for the support. I really appreciate it. I don't know if my alerts or my lights are working. I saw that the channel points lights are working, but jury's still out on whether my notification lights are going to work. So anyways, I wrote the code for it. My code's okay, I promise. It's not me. I think I know what it is. And so I think, my events aren't firing. I'm listening for them, but they're not firing. So jury's still out whether or not they're going to work. But anyways, thank you. Thank you for the sub, Archimedes, A3000. Thanks for the continued support. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And then Wicked Wizard, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. How's it going? And on top of all that, as far as services wise, things are weird and delayed. I, again, feel a disturbance in the force. So whenever I feel a disturbance in the force when it comes to Twitch, I know that things aren't gonna be exactly right or a little bit delayed. But anyways, so lots of integrations going on, so who knows? Hey, Harry Butts, thanks for the sub. Thank you. Hey, my lights do work. All right, at least half of them. Harry Butts, never thought I would say that. Thanks for the sub, appreciate it. I can't pronounce that or see it. Nunan Askament Bod. Hey, that was my best attempt at trying to pronounce that. Hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. But Harry Butts, thanks for the sub, really appreciate it. Funny story about hairy things in general. When I got married, someone left a wedding card for me and my wife that said, congratulations from Harry, butts, but not butts. And still to this day, no one will own up to it out of all of our friends. I think I know who it is, but I hope they never tell me. Well, before I die, at least tell me. But it's been an ongoing joke for a long time on who sent us the card from Mr. Balls, whose first name is Harry. Anyways, Harry Butts made me remember that funny thing in my life. But anyways, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Welcome. So PC Geek in here first. How's it going, man? Appreciate it. Thanks for being in here first. I may have found a mouse in my house. Well, hopefully it goes away. Fortunately, I've been pretty fortunate. I crossed my fingers, but I have never had them in the house. I've had them in the garage though, and in the garage, who cares? I let them go crazy. In the house, not so much. So man, hopefully you find it. In the basement anyways, I have a cat who only lives upstairs. Time to move that cat downstairs. I'm hoping not, because I gotta get some traps just in case. Yeah, hey, he's live. Tofflin, how's it going? Yeah, PogChamp, the new PogChamp emote. I saw that Twitch replaced it. I saw a blog post. So the new PogChamp emote is the lizard. I think Twitch voted and made that one real. So pretty awesome. I enjoy the lizard face better anyways, but So how's it going? PC Geek Popcorn Time? Yeah, that guy, DJ Rick. Hey, how's it going? DJ Rick 1, how you doing? Chicano, how's it going, man? How you doing? Hopefully okay. It's urgent. Bento box or player? Or plate? Bento box or plate? This is like challenging my heritage, you know? Challenging my heritage. Do I go with bento box because it's Japanese, or do I go with a plate just because I usually eat on a plate? If I have the choice and they're both right there, I would say bento box. Mainly because, well, one, I mostly eat off a plate. There are times when I eat off a bento box. I have some in the cupboard. But bento boxes are nice because you can keep everything separate and then mix them together as you like. So you can take a bite of one thing, dip it in another, or mix each bite individually versus throwing it all on one. And I think it saves a little bit easier, and it's easier to transport. So if you're having a lunch or bringing it with you, bento box is super nice to have because it keeps everything separate. So you could have your pickles and stuff in one, your whatever else in another, and it's not gonna get all soggy and mushed together. I don't know. But yeah, I'd go with bento box until it doesn't work for you anymore. Archimedes, hello, how's it going? Good to see you. Rex Roof, hiya, how's it going? Archimedes, thanks again for the sub, appreciate it. Tofflin, Techno Tam, I want to thank you for showing us Ventoy USB, literally best thing ever. Hey, thanks. So I've been you guys know, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've used things like, I can't even remember, USB, pen drive, Linux, and then I used, what did I use after that? I used Rufus for a long time, and Rufus was pretty good. You know, it's less hit or miss than Etcher. Etcher then was pretty good. Etcher had a nice simplified UI, and I was like, oh, this is good. So I've used Etcher for a long time, and in one of my previous video, everyone's like, why aren't you using Ventoy? Why aren't you using Ventoy? Ventoy. And I'm like, what is this Ventoy? And why do I not know about it? So that's when I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I was like, I gotta share this. I gotta share this. And most of you probably knew. A lot of people probably knew about it. I didn't. I'll be the first to admit I didn't hear about it until it was in a YouTube comment. So, yep, absolutely. Thank you for commenting, because I take that feedback into consideration. So everyone who commented Ventoy on my, hey, thanks for the follow. Laurensk 7. Hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. But for everyone who commented on my one about Ventoy, I mean, it goes to show that, hey, I read the comments and I take it into consideration. I was like, I gotta share this. I gotta do something. And I'm like, it's a USB. It's a USB drive builder. How much can I really say about it? I'm like, I'm gonna do this as fast as possible, and I'm just gonna let it go. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, doesn't. Anyways, thank you. I also agree. I think it's very awesome. Now I have so many USB drives that I can either decommission or do something with. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with the other USB drives, because I have like a 32, a 128. I have many 2s and 4s, and I have 1.8. But anyways, I might get a faster one, only because, and I probably don't need a faster one, but I kind of want one because copying to it is a pain. So once you decide to go all in with Ventoy and you're like, yeah, what ISOs do I need? And you copy 10 ISOs to it, you're gonna be, you better find something to do while you do it. Not that anyone ever watches files transfer, I do. But most of the time I have that going in on the side. But anyways, thank you, appreciate it. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. Some people have commented it doesn't work with very specific things, but I think it works with almost everything I've tried. I mean, while I was doing it, you know, I tried Windows, I tried FreeNAS, I tried Ubuntu, server, desktop, and I tried Proxmox. They all worked. So I think it's pretty cool. Just me. But yeah, thank you, Tofflin. And then there were some people who then commented on that video who were like, yeah, if you read my last comment and did this because of that, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. A whole lot of thank yous going on. But anyways, I think it's cool. It's you know, something that, one, the community recommended that I didn't know about, and two, it's, man, what a time saver. What a time saver, and what a USB saver. Now I can just have one dedicated to it. Like, I have one that's dedicated to D-Ban. I've had it dedicated to D-Ban for probably 2 years. You know, and D-Ban is Derek's boot and nuke, right? So you can wipe all of your disks and everything. Hey, Dex Final. Hey, thanks for the resub, tier 1, 3 months. Thank you so much, appreciate it. Dex Vinyl, how's it going? Boop, 3 months, yeah, for sure. How is it 3 months already? Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. How you doing? But anyways, yeah, so I have one that's dedicated to D-band mainly because it's a small one. It's like a 2 gig one. But now I don't need to do that anymore. I can put them all everywhere and use them all the time. But now I have, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. And sometimes it's hard to find my large one. It ends up in backpacks and junk drawers and everything everywhere. But anyways, super cool. And I'm probably talking way too much about it. But if you haven't checked it out, check it out, Ventoy. It's super cool. So thanks for recommending it. I can't take credit for that. Lots of people have mentioned in the past, and I just never had the attention span long enough to remember or go out and try it. So I finally did. So anyways, yeah. Mark. I'm going with Mark. Hi Tim, hope you're well. Hey, I am good. Doing pretty good today. It's a good day. Got up a little earlier than normal than I do on Saturdays, and I was like, wow, I have so much time to do stuff today, but I just made more work for myself. You know how that goes. Lucas Enrique, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Techno, currently without water or working sewage system. Oh my gosh, dude, that stinks. Lucas Enrique, how's it going? Ghetto Thief, hi Tim, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. How's it going? Bad hope ends soon. Yeah, for sure. Main drain seems to be blocked. That is no good. Clever Princess, how's it going? Good to see you. Hi Tim, hope you're well. I'd love to hear if you have any tips for planning large software development projects, if at all possible today. Whoa, man, that's crazy. Okay, not crazy. I just need to break this down. Love to hear if you have any tips for planning large software deployment projects, if at all possible today. Clever Princess, wow. So deploying. So, I mean, I think preparing, some of the things you'll need to think about before even deploying are things that start, very early on in the project. Like, have you broken up, if it's very large, and so I'm going to go, you're saying software development, so I'll kind of break down a couple things. But, if it's very large, has it been architected in a way that you can deploy individual parts? If you have one big service, could those have been microservices? And these are probably afterthoughts if you're getting ready on the deployment piece. But, sometimes you might decide that, one huge monolithic, middleware or API server isn't the way to go. And, you have microservices. And then you have, a middle tier, I guess, in front of there, dividing up those microservices to make those calls. Those are things to consider. The same thing can be done on the front end too. If it's a rather large app with lots of features, there's this whole, how you have microservices on the back end. There's micro front ends now. There's a pattern for doing micro front ends, so you can deploy individual parts and pieces of a front end. And a lot of people divide it up by paths or by features, you name it. And then there's even optimizations you can do. These are optimizations. So maybe not tied to software deployment, but you can do things like, lazy load some of your components so that if someone lands on the front page, they don't have to load the component for all your graphing and, analytics that's 15 clicks away just because they landed on the main page. Those are optimizations and maybe things you should consider up front. But then there's things like, hey, do you have unit tests? Do you have functional tests? Do you have end-to-end tests? Those are the things you want to make sure that you have kind of in place before a software deployment, especially a large one. You probably do, but if not, it's worth looking at again. Two, another one, do you have a CI and CD pipeline for all of that code to go out, automatically? Do you have anything running in your CI/CD pipeline? Is that all automatic? Because it's great if it is, and I feel like it should be. Does that code end up in Docker containers? Does it end up in Kubernetes? Like, there's so many things to consider. Those are the things. Like, everything I mentioned right now are things that are just baked in to everything I do whenever I start a new project. And if you're already past some of those, it's never too late to start integrating some of those things into it. So don't think, well, I don't have CI, so whatever, I'll never do that. No, you can do that at any point in time. But those are the things I get set up initially. So when I start a new project, one of my goals is deploy to production immediately. The faster you get to production, the faster it will be later on to get back to production. And so, I don't know, those are things I think about. I consider all the things that I kind of do before I get started with large projects, even small projects. You know, there's just a lot more consideration in lot one. So hope that helps. That was a lot, but hope that helps. Those are the things I think of, and there's probably plenty that I didn't even think of or mention that are kind of baked into what I do when I deploy software. This microphone looks. There we go. Is that? That's kind of straight. I don't know. This whole setup is kind of weird. But anyways, it's working for me. Hairy butts. I have several VLANs on my router. How do I make managed switch recognize them? Do I have to set the same VLANs up on my managed switch before I can recognize them? I believe so. I'm pretty fortunate to where, you know, I have a UDM that I can set them, and then those will get set not only on my UDM, my core switch, but then my lower level switches, all of my smaller switches, and even my access points when I tie them to wireless networks. But yeah, if you don't have something centrally managed, yeah, you'll have to, because something has to tag those packets with a number, so that the endpoints or the touch points or the endpoints, whatever the touch points at the end, will get packets that are tagged that way. But that's, you know, there are probably other ways to do it, but I think so. I think it needs to be everywhere, all the way down to the touch point, and then the touch point will end up getting the packets tagged with that VLAN. I think that's how it works. I've been pretty fortunate though with UDM. It's just like, or Unify in general. It just trickles through. Set it and forget it, kind of, sorta. Or set it and it trickles through. I'll say that. It's kind of, so waiting on the landlord to get a plumber. The whole kitchen got flooded because their washer started to drain downstairs. Toilets started to overflow. Man, that's a bummer, man. Bummer. Total bummer, dude. I hope it gets sorted out. Ghetto Thief just installed Proxmox on the server and also get my Synology DS920 Plus in the mail today. Nice. Sounds like you got a lot going on. So Proxmox server and a new NAS. Oh, I love it. This is where it begins. You know, once you get the hardware and get your services up, that's where it starts. You know, but that's where the fun also begins too, I think, for me. PC Geek, yeah. Lucas Enrique. Hey Tim, I'm working on a payment system, and learning how to set up a Kubernetes cluster in Amazon. Nice, yeah, awesome. That sounds fun. For me, that sounds scary. Managing money in general and code to me sounds, you know, scary. I've done it a couple times. Yeah, sounds fantastic. Kubernetes and Amazon, yeah. I mean, you're on the right platform for sure. Well, all the cloud platforms are, but Amazon, you know, obviously clear winner in the cloud space. But good luck, man. Payment system, oof. Ooh, oh man. Let me know, like, are you using tools to help you? Are you using someone else's services? Like, are you using Square? Or, you know, is it to accept payment or send payment or both? Sounds pretty awesome. Included no. Hi Tim, hi chat. How's it going, man? How you doing? Takano, yeah, just stuck for a bit without any working plumbing. Oh man, gotta use the outhouse for a little bit. Captain Tidbit, Tim, thank you for your Ventoy video. Thank you. Friendship with Etcher ended. Ventoy is my new best friend. Now I can just get Proxmox set up and working. Yeah, thanks. That's kind of how I thought of it. And it was hot on the heels of my video prior to that where I used Etcher, and then I found out about Ventoy. But yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome for sure. But good luck with the Proxmox setup. I'm sure it'll be fine. If not, we'll be here. Liquid Lego. I want to get started with Docker. Should I start by installing a clean Ubuntu 20 VM on Proxmox and then start looking into Kubernetes and Rancher? Yeah, I think so. I think that's my foundation. So if you think of, so my foundation is, you know, bare metal, right? Have servers. Next layer is hypervisor, so Proxmox. And then my next layer, my virtualization, is Ubuntu. And then from there, whatever I want to run, some of that whatever I want to run is Kubernetes, which then you get containerization, which can be Docker. I'm going to change my lingo a little bit because it's not only Docker. And then you build from there. So yeah, as PC Geek, yeah, perfect way to start. I totally agree. My foundation too. That's exactly what I do. A lot of people ask, well, why do you virtualize and, you know, performance and this and that? But, I try to keep, separation concerns. I probably say that a lot, but I do. And so, my Ubuntu server is usually is my base server image, and then I build from there. And yeah, exactly right. And then I sometimes I do plain old Docker, Sometimes I do Kubernetes. And it really just depends on the job. And then I will say though, then if you're going to do clean Ubuntu and Proxmox, then start on the Kubernetes and Rancher, yeah. And then I will say, if you do Rancher, you get all of the rest of that. It's all mixed in there. And so for anyone who's not familiar with Rancher, it's just an easy way to get Kubernetes and containerization. And it's almost a little too easy because it could be, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You get a lot of bang for your buck because it's free and nothing, and you run a couple commands and you have Kubernetes running. But then you kind of got to, understand a little bit about Kubernetes, some of the pitfalls and what's going on, and just resources in general. But then on the flip side, you also get a ton of capability too. So yeah, Liquid Lego, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, PC Geek, totally agree. Woohoo, hype, yeah, starting out, woohoo. Oh man, all these points, spending your points. I like it. Highlight my message. Yeah, Vermium Sci-Fi, how's it going, man? You got transcoding too. Well, I think that's what PC Geek said earlier, so I think so. Hopefully you guys do. Another one, Andy, the other one was quite nice as well. Wow, thank you. Banana, yeah, my bot works. Techno Tim, which do you prefer, WDS or Fog for imaging? Archimedes, I don't know enough about Fog. Funny you mentioned that. Someone mentioned Fog to me on Twitter today. And so I started Googling Fog and I looked into it and it was talking about the imaging system. But it also mentioned Mac OS in there, which piqued my interest because I was like, oh, interesting, So I don't know enough about Windows deployment services. Like I kind of get it high level. Versus Fog, and to be honest, when I looked at Fog, I didn't even look at which platform it runs on. I'm hoping it runs on Linux or something like that, because then you have a lot of flexibility there if it does run on top of Linux. Whereas WDS I think is only going to run on Windows. I think WDS is Windows Deployment Services, right? It's been a while. I think Kraft did a video on that. So if I were to explore them today, I would, in my head, I would do this mental game or, napkin math and start tallying up, what I got out of each of them and what I was looking for. I would start with what I was looking for, what gave me that. And then ultimately I would get to a point where I'd say, is there an open source version of this or a version that I don't have to pay for? And it's not because I'm cheap or because I don't want to pay for something. It's just like sometimes licensing for home stuff is just not, it just doesn't agree with home stuff. So anyways, not saying don't pay for stuff, but sometimes, when things are open source, they don't have any licensing tied to them. They might have subscription to give you plus features. Anyways, long story short, I would look at them both. The only caveat to all that is that if you are in a deployment services role in an organization, or if you're trying to break into that role in an organization, you might want to look at what organizations are using too. A lot of them are probably using WDS because a lot of enterprises use Windows, and so it's something scales. You gotta balance that too. So me personally, I would have to do that assessment in my head. Don't know enough, but I need to know more. Hopefully that answers your question. It probably doesn't answer your question. Probably give you lots of questions to research yourself, but hopefully that helps. Agua con jabón. Bueno. I can't read it. I'm sorry. Saludos de Chile. Hello from Chile? Or greetings from Chile. Okay. I think I got that one. Hey, how's it going? Greetings from the US. J4 Bush. Working on trying to get a damn Nextcloud working in Rancher. Yeah, some people seem to have a problem lately, and I'm not sure where the breakdown is. Let me know if I can help. I still run it on mine, and it's running okay. Trying to figure out where the pitfall is, because once or twice a week I hear about someone having problems with it, and a lot of times it's related to the port, and a lot of the times it's related to the database if you're doing an external database, but it does come with the internal SQLite. But using an external database, just make sure you have the right credentials, right port, right endpoint, all set, and then right permissions, so that when it spins up for the first time, it can actually create those tables in that database too. Kevin Goki. First time tuning in stream, learned a lot about from your video. Sorry, take a step back, too much caffeine. First time tuning into your stream. Learned about you from YouTube recommendations. Absolutely good content. Hey, appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, algorithm's working. All right. Well, I'm glad you found my content or my content found you. So, algorithm that work. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Spruik. I'm going with Spruik. Finally got a home lab set up with SSL certs and full auto CI/CD for my projects. Time to write some API and ML projects. Nice, Spruik. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome when you get that working, especially as a developer, you know, and you want to have things, you know, automated. A lot of people want to have all the things automated, but when you write code, you're like, okay, I want to take care of the works on my machine problem. And how do you take care of the works on my machine problem? Well, you spin up CI and CD and deploy it to some other machine. And so your CI/CD pipeline verifies that it doesn't only work on my machine. And then once you get it deployed somewhere else, it verifies it doesn't only work on my machine. Then you go really fast. So really awesome. I mean, this ties back to what I was saying earlier with software deployments. You know, on day one of any project, I build out my CI/CD pipeline right away. That's one of the first things I do because I want to see this somewhere else. I want to see it on the web. I want to see it on another machine. I want to see it running somewhere. And I don't want to have to worry about how I deploy the code after I have it working. But once you do it once and you establish a pattern, it's pretty awesome. Andy, I work today on nothing at all. Hey, totally fine. Totally fine, resident sleeper. Love it. Sorry. Totally fine. Some would say I worked on absolutely nothing at all this morning too. I was just updating a ton of metadata, a lot of admin stuff this morning, and updating Node and updating like a lot of my repos, a lot of care and feeding for stuff. Totally fine though. All right, I got to get this right. Shimento. Oh man, that's so hard to pronounce. Let me know how to pronounce your name. Hello, how's it going? Yeah, I love it. I love the new PogChamp emote. It's so good. Oh man, so many good emotes. Man, got the Bento. All right, Takano, you can't go wrong with the Bento box. I mean, for most things. I mean, don't put soup in it, right? But if it's something that has a little bit of liquid, it should be fine. And sometimes those containers can seal up and then, you know, it has a little clasp to seal it too. I'm a huge fan of bento boxes because it's like a lunchbox too. You can take it to work, take it on a picnic, store your, you know, if you have leftovers, you can throw it in there and use it the next day. So I'm a huge fan. Very versatile. It's like, you know, Ziploc containers on steroids because you have so many little compartments. It's like a toolbox or tackle box for food. I mean, bento box, yeah. Tackle box for food. I like it. Mohan Marty, create a video about accessing home services through simple VPN services remotely. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I mean, I kind of have bits and pieces of a lot of that, you know, bits and pieces on how to self-host a lot of services. And then, you know, one or two on how to expose that through a VPN. So I think if you just piece those together, I think you'll be good. Tothik. I'm going with that. Tothik. Thanks for all your great videos. Thank you. Appreciate it. Watched almost every one of them. I'm trying to replicate your Docker Rancher install. Appears to get the cluster up, but I can't get my first deployment working. Any recommendations to which Rancher and Docker? No, I'm gonna go. I know what you're trying to say, but I can't read right now. Versus having to work together. Wait, I gotta read the last so I'm not answering the wrong question. Any recommendations as to which Docker and Rancher versus have to work together? So, topic, yeah, Rancher's been changing a lot of stuff lately. And so if you're talking about the video that I have, that's the Minecraft one, I would just look at the documentation because the documentation has the correct command and it, two things to call out in there. One, there is an extra flag that you'll need to pass now. Two, what's the two? I don't remember the two. I should know it. Oh yeah. There's a Docker install script too that, you know, Rancher wants you to use. Albeit, I've never had a problem with running a newer version of Docker with an older version of Rancher. I've never had a problem except for Rancher telling me I'm using an unsupported version of Docker, but that may not always be the case. So I would do that. Look at the GitHub doc, use the extra admin flag, I forget what it's called, and then make sure you use the Docker install script. That's another one. And then the last one, 3, I guess, is just make sure you pin Rancher to your version. And I know it's fun to run latest until it's not anymore. and what do I mean by that? Because, you know, latest is the latest, you know, latest that they pushed, they tagged, you know, latest that they have in Docker image, or I'm sorry, in Docker Hub. And so that's all fun until it's not anymore. And, you know, latest today might work, but latest tomorrow, if you were to go and update Rancher till latest again, might not work because of whatever they did. So anyways, my recommendation is pin it to a version. So if it's 2.5, 2.55, I don't know which one they're on now. I think it's 2.45 or 2.55. Haven't looked in a while. Do that. But let me know. PC Geek, UNet Bootinn. Yeah, I use UNet Bootinn too. That's another good one. Good call. Yeah, it's been a while since I've used that. Yeah, totally. That was in my repertoire for a while too. Yeah, thank you. I think that was somewhere in between. That was probably somewhere in between Pendrive Linux and Etcher, somewhere in between there. But yeah, awesome. Takano, also plumbers hopefully coming soon. I hope he gets there soon because that stinks. I mean, water problems stink. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, you know, Craft Computing had a flood. I think his sump pump lost power. Sump pump didn't have battery backup, or the battery wore out and his basement got flooded. So a lot of flooding going on. I think this is something we're going to continue to see. I mean, it was an unfortunate set of circumstances with him too, as a power out, battery failure, and sump pump failure all at the same time. So, well, I don't know if the sump pump failed, but that's kind of what I got from it, was that the battery ran out or battery wasn't there. Anyways, yeah, it kind of stinks. We had a little bit of water once because one of our windows was cracked and water came in, and ever since then I was like, ooh, I bought, you know, these little cheap, you know, leak detectors, and they're not dumb. I mean, they're not smart at all. They're really dumb. You know, I bought them off Amazon. It was like 4 for $20, and I just have them all over the basement, and they're really loud. So the way it works is water comes in, it opens up a sponge. When that sponge expands, there's like a little terminal it triggers, and then you just hear this loud beep. Anyways, yeah, water, it's not fun. It's like your worst enemy in the basement for sure. Let's see, man, so many. Oh man, so many. Thank you. Let's see. PC Geek, same. I've had that D-band one too. Yeah, I do. I still have a dedicated D-band one because I can't find anything else to do with that tiny USB stick. Doza Des Ross. Christian Barbus here. Have you tested Proxmox server as a backup NFS instead of Proxmox backup server? What do you think? So have I tested Proxmox server as a backup NFS instead of Proxmox backup server? What do you think? Sure. So if I understand this correctly, you just basically want to spin up another Proxmox server and have that be an NFS share that you could back up to. Totally fine. Totally fine. I would ask then, why do you need it to be a hypervisor then too? But I mean, with Proxmox, you get more than a hypervisor. You know, you get ZFS. You can set up NFS shares or whatever kind of shares you want with a little bit of config and tooling. But yeah, I mean, that should work. I mean, I back up a lot of my virtual machines, and when I migrate virtual machines back and forth to an NFS share, it's not Proxmox backup, because most of them are just point in time. Like, hey, I need to shift some VMs over to my other Proxmox server in my cluster, and that's the way to do it. That's the way I do it. I don't use them for long-term storage. It's more just migrations and quick snapshots too. If I'm doing something kind of risky where I'm like, you know, this would kind of stink if I had to rebuild this whole thing right now, I'm gonna change it. There's that too. Hopefully that answers your question. PC Geek, D-band is 512, an old PNY Apache drive. Yeah, yeah, that is. Yeah, I think mine is pretty small too. So it's like, what do I even do with it? It's like the perfect thing, and it's on my workbench. So maybe I won't combine that. I'll probably add D-band to my big, my big pen drive now, but probably keep D-band on that little one because it's permanently like just on my workbench. Dosa de Ras. I'm from Romania, and the time now is very good for me. Here is maybe me not. Here it's 23:30. Other lives are in nighttime. Oh man. Well, I'm sorry it's not a good time. You said it was a good time, but I'm assuming by that you mean not. But anyways, yeah, I try to switch it up. During the week is nighttime central, and on the weekend it's midday central, something like that. Wicked Wizard. New here, and I had a question. I followed your guide on Docker and Rancher, but I'm stuck in one thing. I can't figure out how to keep Minecraft workload persistent each time I redeploy, delete. Yeah. So this is all. This is because you're. your bind mount is probably not correct, and it's probably partially my fault. So they might be backwards in that video. I can't remember if that's the video. There's one video where I did the bind mount backwards, but that's it. Like anytime, and the takeaway here is that this just doesn't apply to Minecraft. But it applies to just Docker in general or containerization in general. If you mount files or folders from the host to that container, things should persist. You should be able to save. You should be able to access it. If they're not mounted properly, you won't. And so I'll take the blame for that. I might have mixed them up in that video, but that's why. So check your mount points. Make sure that they're right. Because if they're not, then you'll see exactly what you're seeing. Because those containers are, they're stateless unless you mount storage to them. Then they become, stateful, or at least they need persistent storage to persist their state. So that's exactly what you're seeing. But let me know. Did you mount a volume? Yep. Check out GitHub documentation video. Yeah. Oh, there we go. It was reverse. Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Wicked Wizard, tried both bind mount and persistent volume under the cluster. Yeah, I guarantee it's because I mixed it up in that video. I remember there's one where I did it backwards, and I think that's what started my documentation repo, because I was like, I need a way to change stuff, and I do it through code, but either way, the documentation will mostly be right. And I get a lot of pull requests on it, so thank you. Yeah, a lot of people open pull requests in my documentation. I love it. So anyways, look at the documentation there. That should help. Clever Princess, some great food for thought here. Thanks. Oh yeah, no problem. You're probably like, whoa, I'm way past like general architecture. I'm getting ready to deploy tomorrow. That is way too much information. No, I hope it goes well. Those are the things I consider, and most of those things I consider even before I start a new project. And I apply that, that lens and that thought to every project, small or big. If I'm going to do something where it ends up in code, it's going to end up getting deployed through CI/CD and with all the other things. I mean, unit test and functional test, and arguably on small projects, I don't always write them. Personal projects, I should say, but they're good. They're good to have, for sure. Helps with refactoring. As a pater, hi there, Tim. Vue, React, or Angular. Oh man, this is going to start a flame war. It depends. It depends on what you want. Depends on what you're familiar with. Depends on what your company's using. Depends on what you want to learn. That's a lot of depends. But it really does, because it's going to be, it's going to be personal preference. I will. So I'll speak from at least React. React, when you take on React, React's just a Vue library. So you're not going to get, things like an HTTP client and a lot of those nice things that you get maybe with Angular or Vue. Doesn't make it bad, just makes it different. But I actually enjoy that because I use Axios for my HTTP client. Some people use Fetch, whatever. But you get to pick and choose. And so at the end of the day, React just ends up becoming your rendering engine for your UIs. And so since you asked, me personally, I would pick React just because I'm familiar with it. I love it. I actually really, really enjoy React. I love doing it. It changed a lot of paradigms for me on how front ends were built. I did Angular in the past, 1, parted 2. They skipped 3 and went to 4, and then that's when I switched over to React. But Angular's fantastic too. And the other reason why I generally pick React for me personally is because I do React Native too, and so. What's React Native? It's an easy way to build native applications for Android and iOS. And so I can apply that same thought, the same tooling, the same principles that I know from React.js on the web to mobile devices too. And so because of that, and even if I wanted to do it in desktop, Discord, they followed this same pattern. Discord has a web app, a desktop app, a mobile app, cross-platform. And they were able to do it with React and React Native. So, that's not why I chose it. That's just, it just goes to showcase that technology. So anyways, that's why I choose it. Is it right for everyone? No, but it's so hot right now. It's so hot right now. I think you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with any of those. They're all, they're all being used and supported and tons of activity and in their repos and tons of releases. So can't go wrong. Spin up Hello World with all three. See which one you like. Then if you like all three, see who has the most stars. No, don't do that. That's never a good thing. PC Geek, hope that works. Oh, sorry. Yeah, hope that works. If not, you can pop a Discord. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, on the VLAN question, all VLANs you want to pass between switches configured on all devices. Yeah. All right, got a networking question right. Yeah, people come to me with a lot of networking questions. I'll be the first to tell you that I'm not a networking expert. I mean, I get the basics. I know how to network. I know more than average person that doesn't know about networking, but I'm definitely not a guru, because a lot of my time has been split between infrastructure and software development. So networking is always kind of the figure it out when I get there. But glad I got that one. All right. Okay, thank you, Zach. Hi, first time that I'm able to watch you. Well, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. I'm waiting for Xeon 2680 V4 like yours. Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm impressed with how well they perform, and then how little heat and electricity they use. I'm a huge fan. Yeah, and 14 cores, and so yes, the core count is so high that I don't even need dual procs in my one use, and that was another reason why I'm like, well, I get more threads on one of these CPUs than I did on the previous server I was using that had two. So yeah, they're pretty awesome. A little more expensive than whatever, 50, 60 bucks. I mean, they're more than that is what I'm trying to say. But I'm super happy with them. Yeah. Ghetto Thief. Now I don't know where to start. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know, so many suggestions. I don't know. Let me know if there's very specific questions. Yeah, let me know. But most of the time I answer questions with questions because they're things that, that you might want to think about or consider rather than just saying, yeah, absolutely do it like this. And then you say, well, what about this? Anyway, Sid Cassidy, have you had any issues passing through Broadcom NICs on AMD Proxmox systems? Oh, good question. I don't know the answer to that because I don't have any AMD Proxmox systems. Most of my systems here, if not all, are Intel based. So, I personally haven't. I know that, there's a separate process for doing it for AMD, and you probably checked all that. But maybe make sure again that, there's a different flag, and you got to have a CPU that supports it. And AMD has their own flag on their CPU that supports, IOMMU and virtualization. I mean, you probably looked into that. But I wish I could answer that. But to be honest, I don't have any AMD Proxmox systems. I should, just so I can know more about it. Zach, I hope to have success with pass-through with the GTX 1650 Super and Proxmox on a Win 10 VM. All right, you will, because I did, and I have one. Yeah, absolutely. It should just work. Well, there's a lot of configuration, a lot of steps involved, but if you do it all right and you have the right hardware, when I say right hardware, a CPU, a motherboard that supports it, it'll work. It is tough. It is tough though. There are lots of places where it can go wrong. There are individual flags that if you don't set, it won't work. But I have an example in my GitHub repo of the exact config I use. I still use it to this day every time I spin up a virtual machine and need to pass through a GPU. And so I pass through a 1050, a 1650, and a Quadro 2200. And I would say flawless, but each time I forget to look at my config file because I think I got this. I've done this 10 times, 5 times, whatever, and I don't, and I fail. But anyways, after referring back to the config file, I'm like, yep, that was it. I missed one checkbox that was hidden under advanced, which is a flag. And that's why I say, look at the config file, because it's really easy to look line by line and say, whatever, something equals false versus, a checkbox that's under advanced that you uncheck and you don't know what that flag, relates to in code or in config. So yeah, definitely look at the config file for that. What about Docker? I like it. What about Docker drop Kates and GPU enabled Kates? So what about Docker dropping in Kubernetes and GPU enabled in Kubernetes? Yeah, I think it'll be a two-step there. So one, if you switch to Kubernetes and you switch your container runtime to something else like CRIO or Containerd, yes, then you'll have to search for another container that was built that has, GPU support. But NVIDIA, if you're using an NVIDIA card, they're going to have one. They want to support, their, developers and all of their video cards that are meant to be run under Docker. So I don't have any doubts that NVIDIA will end up creating containers that support it. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's too much money on the table for them not to, and they've already made huge investments in Docker. So building another container that supports, GPUs on a different runtime, I think for them will be a no-brainer. But that's, all speculation. We'll see. Lucas Enrique, have you put a volume on the world data? All right, you guys got this stuff. I love it. Spruk. If you're just learning containerization, learn Docker before going Rancher. Hey, that's a great suggestion. Rancher is great, but I think it's better to understand the foundation before going to Kubernetes and Rancher. Yeah, that's a great foundation. A great suggestion. That understanding containerization will definitely help. It will definitely help. And I've been a huge fan of Rancher for a while, mainly because you leapfrog a lot of stuff, and you do leapfrog over Docker. And you kind of leapfrog over Kubernetes, and you get this UI to do all of those things. And that's a great point. Is that maybe learning a little bit about Docker will go a long way. And I think it will. Because things like, bind mounts or how you expose ports and, networking with Docker is certainly helpful when you do stuff in Kubernetes. Because then, it's the same idea. Like, how do I mount a persistent volume, or how do I mount a volume in general? Oh, it's this way. And what does that even mean? Well, you're taking, a volume and mounting it to that container. And same with ports and how you publish and expose them. Same thing. So yeah, I totally agree. Great suggestion. PC Geek, WDS is Windows deployment services. Yes, not cost effective. Licensing for home. Yeah, I totally agree. Sid Cassidy, did you see what happened to Krat? Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. Yeah, it kind of stinks. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, his house did get flooded, some pump fail. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, it stinks. Especially when that's your livelihood, you know what I mean? If it happened to a lot of us, we would just be like, that sucks, insurance, whatever. And figure it out. But when, your office gets flooded where you work and, your gear gets destroyed, and on top of that, that's your home office, then, you got to put things off or do things different. And that stinks. Because then it's like, okay, well, that's, it's almost like gig work, if you get paid per gig and you can't do gigs, then what do you do? And so, yeah, it definitely stinks. So, I suggest, if you have some means to help him, absolutely. Go to his Patreon, help him out for sure. Yeah, for sure. Told him he can use any. I have rack space here that he can use. Absolutely, offered it up. He's like, I got it already, but still, I would, yeah. Craft, I'll set up a server just for you. Absolutely, 100% will. I told him I will already on Twitter. I'm totally, he can have it because I got some compute cycles to spare and some RAM to spare, but. He said his servers were safe. It's mostly, his streaming PC and his content creation PC, which really stinks. Anyways, if you want to support him, check out his. I think Patreon's the way to go. But that's up to him. Archimedes, thank you. It was great. Thank you. Gave a few ideas I haven't thought about. Awesome. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully, take them with a grain of salt, and prioritize and assess all of my recommendations, because might be a lot to take on. J for Bush, thanks. I've tried a couple of different Docker Nextcloud images. No external database. Simply followed your step-by-step. Actually had it working until I nuked and paved the Ubuntu server to start over after screwing up the traffic video. Yeah, that stinks. I mean, if you had it working once, it's got to be config. Check your ports. Check to make sure it's got to be ports for networking, or your bind mounts, or if you're using internal database, it's not that. So yeah, check those things. Mathne, how's it going? Vezer, what do you think about the requirements should be for a junior DevOps engineering role? Oh, that's tough. Let me grab a drink. The requirements for a junior DevOps role. Ooh, that one's tough because, you know, if it's a junior role, you're just kind of hoping, you know, that they understand the lay of the land, that they understand the process, that maybe they've done some of it before, and that maybe they've worked on one of those sides before. Those are always a benefit. So what are the sides? Because DevOps plays a very, you know, specific role, but it's very blurred. And the borders blur too with their neighbors. And who are their neighbors? Developers and operations. That's where you get DevOps, right? And so, what would I look for? Maybe someone who's been a developer, possibly back end, or someone who's done operations or done cloud engineering and understands how things function in the cloud and should behave. Or back end that understand, you know, how to write services, how you know, databases work, or how, you know, Kafka works, or how, you know, a lot of these services that they might end up maintaining, Reddit's, you name it. And so that's kind of what I would look for, especially if it's a junior role. You know, someone who understands CI and CD, you know, someone who just is either genuinely interested in it and hasn't had an opportunity to do it, or someone who does it. You know, and you name your CI platform, it doesn't matter. You know, if it's GitLab or Drone or you name it, or even, you know, GitHub's, I forget what they're called now. Playbooks. They're not playbooks. Whatever GitHub calls their CI pipeline now. But just understanding the process. And so if it was a junior DevOps engineer, you know, you can't ask for a ton because then they're not a junior DevOps engineer anymore. And I don't want to downplay the requirements because there obviously are. But, you know, for me personally, I would just look for someone who's genuinely passionate about DevOps, and possibly someone who's done either operations or development. But all those things help. I mean, and then, you know, if that's you and you're trying to break into that role, write a ton of CI pipelines. Just grab random code, you know, grab random code bases and try to automate them and deploy them. And do it yourself and build CI pipelines, because that's something that you could showcase in that interview, or who you talk with, or point them to your GitHub. You know, say hey, and if you're able to automate some backend stuff, some front end stuff, some database change stuff, and do some SecOps and some of those things that are really hot right now, like and showcase it in a CI pipeline. I mean, who would say no to that? I sure wouldn't. You know. But yeah, and there's tons of things that I'm not thinking about, but I'm just kind of rattling off some of the things that I guess I would look for. You know, those types of things would stand out if I had a position open for DevOps. I don't even have a company, but if I did, you know, those are the things that would stand out. But yeah, good question. Good question. I'm sure I missed tons of stuff. I'm sure lots of people have great suggestions too. Ketty Gaming, hey, how's it going? Jay for Bush, heading to work, the ER, so this should be an interesting evening. Well, good luck. Good luck. Save some lives. I think you said you're heading to work, the ER. So you're going to work there, not like checking in. But if you're checking in, hope you're well. If you're going to work there, save some lives and be safe. Mafni, any VPN recommendations? Not self-hosted, but in general. Well, that one's tough. I don't want to make a VPN recommendation, not because I don't use one myself, just because, you know, you see how those things turn out. Someone buys it, or someone's logging or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I recommend self-hosting, but that's only going to get you back to home. You're talking about going out and for privacy. There are lots of ones out there. I would just look at some of the reviews. Just Google. Well, if you Google, I'm not going to even tell you what to Google because they're probably all, you know, purchased by companies. But just Google, you know, like something like best VPN in 2021. But, you know, but then do your research too. Because most of the time, those are articles by those companies too. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be, you're just going to have to, make a leap. But get a trusted one. I mean, look at some of the companies that, you know, big tech people are recommending. Not to say that they aren't getting paid to recommend that, but at the same time, they're putting their name on that. So, you know, I mean, you know, just do an evaluation. I wish I had a better answer than that, but I don't. Jay for Bush, thanks, PC Geek. Weekends are always interesting. Hold my beer, watch this. Yeah, totally. You probably, and I bet, you know, around 4th of July, summertime, you totally get the hold my beer crowd. You know, I think what is it? 4th of July is pretty busy in the ER. I used to work at a hospital too, long time ago, and that was a surprisingly busy time because most people are out, they're doing stuff they shouldn't, telling people to hold beers, telling people that, or driving when they shouldn't, a lot of stuff, water sports, you name it. So yeah, 4th of July weekend, I remember at the hospital was always, it's like an event, for sure. PC Geek, I like OpenVPN, been using it for a year. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if we're talking about self-hosted options, yeah, OpenVPN, WireGuard, you can't go wrong with those. But then if you want to, if you want privacy on the go or from home, yeah, you might have to look into it. Sprook, latest is fun until something gets updated and breaks. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that too. And I will sprinkle on that latest is fun until, and this hasn't happened to me, but it could happen that someone gets a hold of that CI/CD pipeline and deploys something, to latest, and then there's a vulnerability in latest, and now all of a sudden you have Watchtower automatically pulling your container that is now pinned to latest, and now you also have it. So that's, that's kind of why my containers are a little more controlled. I don't use Watchtower, not that it's not a good thing, because it's a very great thing, but I try to, keep my versions pinned and then control my updates. It sucks. I do it like once a week where I go out and evaluate all the releases for all my containers, but just part of it, I guess. I don't know. Node modules, I just update those all the time. No, I'm kidding. I pin those too. Mafni, I was more thinking a plug and play thing, but thanks for the suggestions. I know this is not what Tim and most people are here about. No, we're here for anything. If it's tech, if it's non-tech, we're here. We're here, Mafni. So yeah. Let's see, Mafni, git add changes points to points. Wait, what? You can change my git add changed points to points. I see what's going on. You're checking in some code right now. You're checking in some code right now. I think so. Yeah, I've done that before too. Don't type your password in this window, but I've done the git add, git commit, git message in some other window. Someone's like, what are you even talking about right now? So awesome, you're coding and listening to me. All right. Windsurfer, hi Tim. Yeah, git commit for sure. Hi Tim, have you tried K3S with some Raspberry Pi 4s? If you could make a video specific to Raspberry Pi, it would be really appreciated. Thank you. Greetings from Italy. Thank you for all the super useful videos. Ciao. Poalo. I have not yet. Yeah, definitely on my short list. 100% on my short list. I've had my eye on the, the Touring Pi stuff. Like, that seems super awesome. And yeah, so on my short list, I want to make sure that it's right. But yeah, absolutely everything you're talking about. Everything you're talking about will be coming soon, for sure. And maybe more. We'll see. PC Geek Mafni dropped a note for him to correct that. It's a private repo. Oh, yeah. Oh, I must have something. Oh, do I have that in my pod? Oh man, I gotta look at this. So points, you can change the light in my room by using channel points. You can change the light in my room by using channel points. Git add change light. I'll figure it out. PC Geek sent me a note. Thank you. Leo. I'm just going with Leo. Channel oints. Yeah, oints. Missed a P. I promise I know how to spell. It's just typing is just hard. Leo, I'm going with that. Hello, love your last video, Ventoy. Thank you. I used to have a few Linux USB drives, and I always had to remember which one, which had which OS. Ventoy is very nice. Thanks for the video. Hey, no problem. Thank you for stopping in and saying hello and being here. Thanks. Nix, hey man, how did you start a career as a dev? Can you name some important milestones? Ooh, yeah, I think I have before. I'll give you the short version, Nix, if you're still here. How did I get started as a dev? Well, I wasn't always a dev. I started out in tech support, and that's the job I landed out of college, and I loved it. And it taught me lots of valuable lessons. And then I knew I wanted more. So then I got into automation. I got into a lot of desktop imaging, package software deployments, automating those package for software deployments. And that's when I started learning about automation. From there, I realized that I really love automating things. Like, I love to run a script and press go and let it rip. And that's where I started kind of digging a little bit more into what it means to be, to write software. The turning point for me, though, was actually I wrote an app. I wanted to know. So long story, but anyways, I wrote an app because I was interested in something and that didn't exist. So I wrote an app and did pretty good. And so at home, I was writing software, mobile apps. And at work, I was still in infrastructure. And I thought, man, I really enjoy writing apps. And then a position opened up at the company I was at, and it was for a software developer on a COE team. A lot of enterprise lingo here. But it was on a COE team, Center of Excellence team, and I thought, no way. Like, I can't go from hobbyist to this team. And I went for it. And that manager at the time was like, hey, I know you. I know you as a person. I believe you can do it. If you really want to do it, I'll invest in you as long as you invest the time in that. And that's where it started. And that's when I became a developer for a large company. And it's just gone on from there. And so I would just encourage you, if you're interested in software development, just do it. Just do it. Do it at home. Do it for fun. Start a GitHub repo. Write some code, write bad code, write lots of bad code. I write lots of bad code every day. To this day, I write lots of bad code. I mean, you guys know in Discord, how many times do I got to test something? How many times I got to deploy something for our Discord bots? I mean, it's just part of development. And don't be embarrassed by your code. Now, if you start a GitHub repo, make it public. I mean, obviously don't put secrets in there and passwords and stuff like that, but make it public. I mean, for one, you're not going to get a ton of traffic, but for two, it's nice to go back and look at the process and how something started out and how it evolved into this better thing. Sometimes, I look at commit history on a lot of stuff. One, to see if the project's still stale, but two, just to see how this thing evolved. And so I would encourage you to do that. If you're thinking about becoming a full-time developer, start a GitHub repo. It doesn't have to be GitHub. I say GitHub, but start code somewhere. Contribute to code somewhere. Make it open source. Get a buddy, a friend, to review your code or to help you with code, to open pull requests on your code to fix it or vice versa, and that's, a lot of it is all about self-starting. And what I learned after becoming a developer is, it's a lot of, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it about knowing about entire systems or knowing very specific things about systems and how they work and how they debug. And so if you're thinking about doing it, I would go that route. I don't know. That's a lot. I don't know if that helps, and that's a lot about process, but that's how I got into it. I just started doing it myself and, fake it till you make it. That's not always the best term, but, for a long time, I had to just be like, oh, I'm a developer now. I'm supposed to know these things. And I didn't know all these things. And so, a lot of people talk about imposter syndrome. Sometimes I still have it. Sometimes I'm like, do I even know? Sometimes I still have it. It's a real thing. It's a real thing with a lot of things that I do. I guess I'm making myself vulnerable now, but I have that almost every day, whether it's professionally or YouTube or you name it, Twitter. And so you'll have that a lot as a developer, where all of a sudden you feel good about, the code you're writing, and then something else gets introduced and you're like, whoa, I have no idea what I'm doing now or should be doing now. But it comes with the territory. I mean, the nice thing about a developer, you're constantly learning and you're constantly pummeled with new things, which is a good thing. I mean, things find you, you don't have to go find them. Maybe you want that, maybe you don't. But anyways, that's, take that all with a grain of salt. But I think the key takeaway there is if you're thinking about it, do it. And it's a lot of doing it on your own for a long time. And even after you become one in, an enterprise environment, it's still a lot of doing it yourself. And so you just gotta do it, push up your sleeves and do it. Anyways, that was a lot. I feel like this is therapy. Kidding. PC Geek, you can do a by mount to a local path and your local path, and you can mount a share for your remote media, on your K3S node from SMB or NFS. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. My hair is such a mess right now. I was going to go no hat, but no hair. I'm not going back to no hair for a while. I was going to go no hat, but then I threw it on last second. C# dev. All right. C# DevOps. Speaking of DevOps. All right. If you had one technical related technical related wish, what would it be if I had one? Technical, wait, sorry, because this seems like a deep question. If you had one, if I had one wish, what would it be? Oh, so a tech wish. You know, this one's tough because I could think about the things that I would want for myself, but then I start thinking about all the things for other people. And so yeah, this one's tough. So if I'm thinking like selfishly, I would like a better workstation. Mine's more than plenty and fine. Sometimes it's not as fast as I want to be, but that's all, you know, that's all I think my own personal selfish thing. You know, I want to upgrade my workstation right now, but it's very hard to with parts and stuff. And then, you know, for, I guess, other people, this is probably, these are all bad. These are all just, you know, totally like consumer things. But, you know, a lot of people can't buy video cards right now. And I get it that they probably have good video cards anyways. But, you know, the whole NVIDIA, AMD, CPU, GPU thing kind of stinks for a lot of people right now. It kind of stinks for a lot of creators right now, too, that do primarily, you know, PC builds or focus on gaming. You know, a lot of, you know, they're not able to do videos about these things, and I get it. Like, these are all, you know, these are all just, I don't know. These are all things that don't help the world, but I think that, you know, some people still, you know, their livelihood depends on this. So I don't know. This one's tough. I need more time to think about this because I'm sure there's a lot of great answers, and these are all seem like, you know, consumer-based answers. But I don't know. And then, you know, I'd like to learn more about different technologies. You know, I don't always get the time or the attention span to focus on a lot of different technologies. You know, recently I got to kind of experiment with machine learning and AI. I think that stuff's super awesome and it's super huge. But at the same time, you know, I don't have a ton of time. So it would be nice to kind of dive deeper in some of the tech that, you know, I'm interested in that I don't always get to dabble in. I don't know. There's so many wishes that could happen here. Oh man, caught me off guard, but I like it. C#. Thanks for asking the tough questions. I feel like I'm being interviewed right now. Did I get the job? Oh, here we go. I missed a couple. So, Angry Tomato. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Whoa, hold on one sec. And then I'm not pronouncing it right. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Flex420, Risa, Prime, 2 months. Yay. Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Mafney, I tried Proxmox bare-boned. Oh, I like it, bare-boned. On my Ryzen system, and it worked fine. All right. Mafney, it was a hassle to set up, though. All right. Confirmation there. Let's see. RyMi5, hey, how's it going? I haven't seen it in a while. Bimount, as I understand, them works as a single node, no multi as K3S video. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, in K3S, you could do bind mount to a node. You can actually do it in real Kubernetes, but then that volume needs to exist on every single node. That's not the way to do it. If you're going to do it in multi-node environment, you actually absolutely want to have a storage class or a persistent volume system in place, which is, you know, a storage class like NFS or like Longhorn or you name it. There's so many storage classes you could choose, but you do want to have something like that so you can automatically provision storage to those pods when they need it. And so that because that process could live on any one of those nodes, you want to be sure that they can all access it. So yeah, bind mount, absolutely not the way to go if you ever are thinking of storage classes and getting persistent volume claims. If you're doing single node, you know, a single node install, I mean, you're already putting all your eggs in one basket, and the storage is there where you can do it. Do you have to? No, absolutely not. You could still stand up a, you know, storage class and get persistent volumes going in a single node as well, which will kind of set you up for other things in the future. But yeah, absolutely. PC Geek Craft mentioned Patreon or Floatplane. Yeah, for sure. Windsurf, have you ever tried K3S and some Ranberry Pi? Oh, I think you asked it already. But yeah, I think I answered that. I know I answered it. It looks very familiar. But yeah, got some stuff coming. Victor Moreno, love your channel, thank you. Would love to see videos about monitoring, about some Twitch, Discord bots. Yeah, I have I have lots of videos on, well, should say lots of videos, but I have videos on Twitch bots, Discord bots. Yeah, they're there. They're open source. They're in my GitHub. Yeah, absolutely, use them. A version of that is in this channel right now. And a version of that is in our Discord channel right now. So yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot, Vezer. Okay, yeah, no problem. Mapney, sorry, Tim, no worries. Victor, private internet access seems good, but I haven't tried it. Yeah, I hear lots of good things about it. PIA. Linus recommends that one. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go with one that some of the big tech people are recommending. Not only because, you know, they 100% are getting paid to say that, but at the same time, they're also putting their name and their brand behind it. So, I mean, they do an evaluation on stuff. It's not like they just take every deal that comes their way. It's got to be one that makes sense and one that, you know, has a decent reputation. Hal Weston, hello. This week I made Portainer mesh on 2 nodes. Nice. All for some lab learning opportunities. Nice. 2 nodes, Portainer. Love it. Wiki Wizard, check out something. It's a good resource for other services. Yeah, for sure. Hal Weston, during Portainer config, I'm missing these. I'll click on something else. I have so many. Why that way? So many times configuring these nodes, and in the meantime, Portainer have deployed new versions of their docs, so all of my open tabs have been purged. Oh man, yeah, that's not good. Kalios, that looks like a newer one. Kalios, I'm pronouncing it terribly. Hey, as a software engineer, can you give a breakdown of the kind of work that exists for programmers? Is it mainly websites or something else? Wow, there's a lot. Corey, hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. So the question is like, what types of tasks or jobs or work exist for software developers? You name it. You name it. Everyone needs someone to program something right now, and that will continue to do so. It can be, you know, back-end data work. It can be data manipulation work. It can be anything. It can be anything. I mean, there's a lot of front-end work too. I will admit there's a lot of front-end. I blame it on the explosion of microservices. So microservices is another one. So services, microservices, middle tier to where you're building out APIs to communicate with those microservices that then communicate with your front ends or your clients. You name it. I mean, there's data transformation. There's building interfaces to get systems to talk. There's, you know, Kafka, you know, events. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that exist out there. And that's just talking about just high level like architecture stuff. Then you have very low level programming stuff that's, hardware, firmware, low level languages, C, Rust, all the way up to high level languages, JavaScript that runs in a browser. It's more than websites. Absolutely, it's more than websites. It's anything you can think of. I mean, just look around in your room right now. What has some kind of smart capability? Or what has an IP address in your house? You know, what connects to Wi-Fi? You know, what web pages are you on right now? And what do those do for you? What apps do you have on your phone? You know, what's on your desk? Unless it's something like really dumb, like my CarMax, most of it is gonna need an IP, need some firmware, need to be programmed, need some updates, need to connect to services, need to deliver a user experience. And so it's all over the place. It's all over the place. And so if you're looking for ideas, I would just honestly look around right now. I mean, I have a smart light right here that shines a light on my face, but it actually is, it has firmware on it. It connects to Corsair. This is a Corsair, light or Elgato, but Corsair. It connects to the internet. They have an app for it. They have a desktop app for it. They have a Mac app for it. And so they have apps on 3 platforms and, have, software built into the thing. So it's everywhere. And then you start to think about embedded devices, Raspberry Pis. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And then every new hot app or service that's coming out right now. I mean, think of an app that's out now that wasn't out a year ago, and those are things that people thought of that had to develop. And you might just see the app, but there's a ton of infrastructure that goes on behind it. And it's not only code too, You know, code is more than just delivering some type of feature. Sometimes it's infrastructure too. You think of Terraforma or anything like that. You know, infrastructure is now being treated as code where you can deploy it with GitOps, you know, and what's GitOps? Well, it's source controlled infrastructure, kind of, sort of. You know, you source control something, you check it in and you push it up and it gets deployed and it reacts to it. I mean, similar to, you know, it's basically CI or CD for infrastructure. So, I mean, I'm probably not doing it justice because it's a huge, huge topic. But just look around, look at the devices, look at the apps you use, look at the websites you use, and then try to think about all the things behind it that make it work, because it's not just the website you see. So, but I do build front ends. I enjoy building clients and front ends. I build back ends too. So I really gravitate towards what you see, but there's everything you don't see behind there too that also needs to be programmed to work too. So anyways, hope that helps. Plumber's here. All right, Chicano. All right. And so is the food. All right. Choices, you know. Oh, what you know, which do you do? Thanks for the answer. No problem, Nix. Is he, PC Geek, is he looking for a princess? Oh, well, sorry, I had to. Wait, princess. Oh, man. Mafney, are you referring to the video Tom Scott did on VPN adverts? I'm not referring to anyone. Oh, and my reference to VPNs and how sometimes they can go bad? No, I mean, even Linus did. Linus, for a long time, promoted one VPN, and then, you know, something happened to that VPN, I don't know what, to where he switched. Maybe they paid more money. Maybe he didn't like whatever that company was doing, whatever. I'm just saying, just do your research. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to make a recommendation for a security product like that, because I don't use them all, nor have I evaluated them all, and I think that's a very personal decision that deserves some time and thought. ISO. My Raspberry Pi running Pi-hole just ate another SD card after doing app upgrade again. Wow. ISO, that stinks. So I have a Raspberry Pi back here, and it's my LED display. It's been on for years. I've been so fortunate on that SD card. Now that I say it, is it even on? Yeah, it's on. I hope. I've been so fortunate. I've never destroyed one. And my Pi Zero too, that actually monitors all my, well, it doesn't, yeah, it kind of monitors. I'm overplaying it. But my Pi Zero that actually monitors a lot of my infrastructure, it too has been running for years, 24/7, doing a lot of stuff. And I've been so lucky none of my SD cards have died. Not that I don't have the code, you know, backed up somewhere else, but I've never had it. So that stinks, ISO. That stinks. Yeah, I always, I don't know. I mean, not to throw out brands, but I always just buy a Samsung. I know that, you know, it can happen just like any hard drive or any kind of storage. They can all die for different reasons, but I've had a ton of luck with Samsung stuff in general for storage. So I kind of stick with them, at least for flash storage and SSD storage. Things need some better SD cards, it seems. Yeah, I think they can go wrong for any reason. I've never been pretty fortunate. Even in all my cameras, they've been pretty good. And mobile devices too. I mean, my Android phone right here, you know, it's had one in there for years. That's where all my apps go. I've been pretty lucky, I guess. PC Geek, I used to have an HDD hard drive once in a Pi, only had boot code on the SD. Oh, I like it, because then it's read-only, mostly. It just reads on the start. Or I might write to it. Wicked Wizard, I've never watched that video, so I'm not sure, but I found the site through various subreddits, either VPN, NetSec, privacy, but there's also subreddits for privacy tools. Yeah, good call. Yeah, I would just start Googling for stuff and look for reviews for sure. Angry Tomatoes, hey Techno Tim, longtime Proxmox user from Germany here. Finally caught one of your live streams. Hey, thanks for Germany. It's probably pretty late there. It's probably like 10:30 there, maybe 11:30. Thanks for your informative videos. Hey, yeah, no problem. Takano, yeah. Takano, look at this password right here. Let's rate this password. I know it's not real. He does this every now and then, but that's a pretty good password. I'm guessing that's 32 characters. I'm just guessing. Has special characters, has uppercase, lowercase. No, it doesn't look like any characters are repeated more than once. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. If that's your password, change it. I know it's not. Angry Tomatoes High also chat. Yeah. Tinkafu, how's it going? Oh yeah. ISO, PC Geek probably going to look in a network boot for some Raspberry Pis. Oh yeah. Nice. Sounds like a cool project for sure. Takano, cousin has been saving up for a PC build, and AMD versus Intel stuff is affecting him a lot. Everything is out of stock or super expensive. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, same with video cards, and it just kind of stinks. I don't know. Anyways, it does stink. There are bigger problems though. That's why I hated to even complain. Yeah, I generally try not to complain because then I start thinking of all the bigger problems and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, ISO, still need an SD card to do the initial part to get the PXE up and running. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Craft Origin, any advice about finding a team to build a startup? Oh, wow. Oh, man. I would say finding a team, I'll comment on some of this. I'll bite. People you work with now. I would say, like, if you are planning on doing that, I would at first definitely find people you work with before. Find people who you enjoy working with, you enjoy arguing with, that you can argue with, that are level-headed and that are competent and will do the right thing. And most likely that can be a lot of people. But I would say if you are going to do a startup for sure, or start a new company, I mean, you're going to want to bring the people around you, most likely, I would say. Because you know them, you know how they work, you know their ethic, you know which buttons to press or not press. And a lot of these are very, soft skill type things, but I think, that's really important, especially for, a startup, a small company. I think those are super important, is to build up that team and that culture first before you go and start specializing in all the things that you need. And if you are, and it's something in tech, yeah, definitely get developers, you trust, that that, want to build something awesome and grow with you. I don't know. There's a lot of things there, and I think a lot of it kind of crosses over to what I've been talking about earlier. But yeah, people that's where I'd start. That's absolutely where I'd start. I think, I need someone who does this, and I go through my circle of friends, and I would just concentric circles around and around, friends, bigger circle of friends, friends of friends, and I would do that. But that's just me. At some point, you can't do that. You'll have exhausted all of your friends, and then you'll start going on LinkedIn, and you're like, okay, I know them. Who knows that person? Okay, and then they're you start playing that game. But anyways, I would absolutely go with people you trust first. Let's see. Corey, there we go. I have a question. Do you think I should use AES or RSA for encryption when saving user data to a database? Yes, either. I don't know. You should use some type of encryption. I'll say that. I don't know. I honestly haven't looked into both of the, the differences in the types when saving to a database, but yeah, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to encrypt that, data in general? But saving user data, just all data? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I got to do a little bit of more research. I've done a lot of saving and done a lot of database stuff, but a lot of those decisions were made usually beforehand. But I'll have to check my settings now. Now I'll have to look at it. Yeah, for sure. I don't know why you would choose one or the other, to be honest. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Craft Origin requirements are greater than GitHub, greater than database, greater than front end, greater than Celebrate. Maybe those are pipes, but yeah, I like it. Requirements, GitHub, database, front end, Celebrate. I like it. It's a progression, not greater than. I like it. Blockchain, yeah, blockchain. Craft Origin. How do we contact if you're available for work? I'm not available for work. Not available for work. I'm going to move this a little bit because it looks like I'm super short. Not that I care, but it's been messing with me for a while. But anyways, I'm not available for hire. I think everyone's available for hire depending on the job. But generally, no, not software development. No, so if you don't know, I have a full-time job. So this is everything you see of me publicly is my hobby. Everything you don't see is I have a full-time job and a family. So not available generally for any type of work unless it was something that, made me say yes. So anyways, appreciate it though. I like it. Takano, it was Tunnel Bear, and I think it was some privacy issues. Yep, you nailed it. You nailed it. I mean, blink twice if it was them. Yeah, exactly. They got bought by McAfee, did they? Yeah, yeah. Enough said. Turns out the pipe seemed cracked. Kind of, man, that's not good. So it probably means one, it either got too cold, or yeah, I don't know, something for sure. Flex 420. It's 11:40 p.m. in Germany. All right, so I was an hour off. Well, I think my second guess was roughly 11:30. So man, thanks for hanging in here. Angry Tomatoes, 11:37 here. Flex 420, blah, yeah. Angry Tomato guy, good. Hi. Oh, there's a lot of small comments here. Flex 420, hi. Mafney, I'm a bit happy that I could have upgraded my PC before early COVID. Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't, I hate to complain, and I'm not complaining, but, I had this PC for 4 years. I thought that it would last me another 4 years, and it would if I wasn't doing YouTube, to be honest. And so now it's actually, it's starting I'm starting to exceed what it can do. I mean, I did get a 3090 lately. I was very lucky to be able to, track that down and find one and buy one. I honestly would have settled for a 3080, but when I attempted to get a 3080, it just wasn't happening. I had literally, 3 seconds to check out, and every time I tried, I couldn't do it when it was in stock, and so 3090 popped up and I pulled the trigger. Anyways, that alleviated a lot of my woes with rendering stuff, because this 3090 will crush any video. I mean, I think, I did a before and after comparison of doing H.264 software based encoding. I did 2pass, so I did my normal process before. One of my videos took almost 2 hours. It was like ridiculous, but that's because I have a very specific way that I do things. And when I did it all, single pass, but when I did all with NVENC, it was like 24 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And arguably, I should have been doing it on my 1080 all this time, but I had this thing like, hey, software-based encoding is going to give you the absolute best thing. And then I'm like, yeah, I want the best thing, only to realize that like YouTube does their own processing on it, and there are ways around that too. So anyways, yeah, I would love to, but to be honest, I'm actually, me personally, I'm glad that I can't buy an AMD 5900X or whatever I was thinking about at the time, or possibly, a Threadripper, only because like the longer I can't buy it, the closer we get to whatever Intel's going to do next. And I know everyone's like doom and gloom, Intel's dead, but there's no way that Intel's not, gonna let, one CPU release kill their company or what they're doing next. So, I root for them, just like I do AMD. I root for them both. But I do think, they probably had some, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but I'm sure they have things in the pipeline that are going to be really awesome soon. So I'm excited to see it. And so if I can't buy the thing that I really wanted, that just gives more time to competitors to release other things. So let that be a lesson to, people who pre-release stuff and can't manufacture stuff in time. I know it's not probably their fault, but, just buying time for their competitors to release something else. So anyways, it's probably not their fault. There's a lot going on in the world right now that, no one has control over. So C# Devops, wow, it took 1.5 hours to get all caught up on the questions. Yeah, for sure. Well done. Take a breath. Thank you. Yeah, usually when I get caught up, it feels pretty good. Angry Tomatoes. Yeah, I just noticed what GPUs go for on eBay at the moment. I was tempted to sell my own card immediately. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't tempted to sell mine because I do have a 3090, but when I see the prices, like I think I saw like and I saw one on Amazon, 3080 was going for $1,200. I was like, oh my gosh, oh man, yeah, it's crazy. It is. It's yeah. Anyways, I'm holding on to mine. I'm very happy and fortunate I got it. I don't have buyer's remorse. I'm super happy I got it because I got to do a lot of things with it, and I will continue to. I mean, this is setting me up for a couple years, hopefully. Flex 420, not only AMD with the Ryzens and Threadrippers are bashing Intels, it's Apple's with M1 too. Yeah, it's coming from all directions. And Apple's going their own direction, basically saying, you know what, PC chip manufacturers, you x86 people, do whatever you want. We're not doing that anymore. Yeah, so, and it's not just, not only, Intel, it's Apple, like you said, doing M1 chips, which I'm super excited about too. I think their new MacBook Pro comes out later this fall. That's the rumor. And that's going to be interesting. I mean, you see all these rumors about the new MacBook Pro, like the actual 15 or 14 or 16 inch ones that they're going to release, and super excited. The rumors like, will it have MagSafe or a new version of MagSafe? Will it have a USB port? Like all those things are super exciting. But for me, it's exciting because, M1 chips, they claim twice the battery life, even if you get 1.5, sure. And they claim all this performance boost, in a vacuum. But even if you get half of what they say, it's still incredible. So yeah, I'm excited about it for sure. And I wouldn't say that the target's only on Intel's back, it's also on AMD's. And so, I mean, you see what's happening, in general with x86 processors and and ARM. Who knows? I mean, I think it'll ripple and trickle through a lot of different places. A lot of things, we generally wouldn't think of, to have an ARM processor may have an ARM processor, but it's up to Intel and AMD, and that's not happening anytime soon. 3090 Club, yeah, LOL, yeah. I mean, I don't mean it's definitely not a flex. I kind of hate talking about it because it costs so much money, and I'm not used to spending a lot of money on a lot of stuff. I'm usually pretty frugal about things. I make I make investments. That was an investment. That was a tough investment for me to make, but I've always tried to. I always do I always try to put some thought behind it and try to do, something that gets me the best value. That one was, that was tough. Hey, Tim, Shakir. Hey, how's it going? Have any plans for a Home Lab 101, YouTube videos and news? Absolutely, I do. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Nailed it. I do. And yeah, watch for it. It's coming. Flex 420, just watch all of them. It's worth it. Yeah. So if you were going to put together a playlist now of how you could kind of get the newbies version of this, it would be look at my video for 20 things you can do with virtualization, because that kind of opens you up to things you can do. Then it would be like containerization versus virtualization to kind of get you understanding like, okay, this is how containers work versus this is how virtualizations work. And then it would just be jump into, I don't know. I don't have a plain old Docker one. I talk about it a lot because it's so close. It's so close when you start to talk about containerization and Kubernetes. I get it that one is orchestrated and one's not. But at the same time, like the tech behind it is, for containers is generally the same, or you can choose it with Kubernetes. So, I mean, and then look at the Minecraft Rancher one, and that will give you an idea of like, okay, here's kind of what I can do. I don't know. Got some stuff though. And that goes down the containerization path. So maybe that's not what you're interested in. Maybe you're just interested in just, what can I do outside of containerization? And that would be my 20 things you can do with virtual machines, because that gives you lots of ideas, and that's totally 100% an ideas video. It's not meant to be a tutorial. It's just like, hey, spark some ideas for things you can work on today. But yeah, good question. Craft Origin, you're a good guy. Glad to find your channel. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I guess that needs no other explanation than thank you. I appreciate it. I try to be. I'll say that. I'm not always, but I try to be. True. All right. Damian Marley. Hey, have you tried to get trunk ports working in Proxmox so you can tag multiple VLANs over the same physical Ethernet cable? I cannot get this to work, so it's the only thing stopping me from moving to ES6i in Proxmox. trunk ports working. I'm trying to think. I do mine a little bit different. So on my Proxmox, at least into my Proxmox server, I think they're all untagged. Well, I shouldn't say all. And this is kind of what you're probably hinting at too with trunks. I have to look to see how mine's set up. I may have it that my Proxmox server is not totally open, but gets a limited subset of VLANs, tag packets, that it can then pass down to my guests. I'd have to look at it again. I don't know. So I haven't specifically, I'm trying to think. Sorry, at the same time I'm reading your comment, I'm thinking like, did I cover this in my first 11 things in Proxmox? I kind of covered it, but not exactly that. I don't know, Damien. There are lots of people in our Discord server who know lots of stuff about getting, VLANs working in Proxmox. I have it working in mine, but I did a very specific way that I covered in one of my Proxmox videos. I got to revisit it again because I did that like 3 months ago and I couldn't tell you how I did it. But I think I'll have to look at it. But I'll put it this way. I have VLAN support on all of my virtual machines so that all of those virtual machines can get to VLANs that they're supposed to. And I restrict those per virtual machine, depending on what their workload is, however I segregate or segment my network, that's what they're tagged with. And I tag those at the NIC level for that virtual machine. And now that I think about it, I did cover that in my Proxmox one. There's a couple things you need to set up for that NIC, and you can restrict them. Yeah, it's all in that video. It's all in that video, 100%. Now, I'm like, oh yeah, it's totally in that video. But it is. It is absolutely in that video because you have to configure something on your NIC to turn on VLANs. You can choose whether or not you want to, and then how many VLANs you want to allow through, and then that should be it. And then Proxmox should see those VLANs, and then you can assign those to virtual machines. And maybe I'm overlooking something. Let me know. PC Geek, thank you. You can bridge the adapter VLAN aware, then you can tag your VMs. Yeah, absolutely. Tag your VMs you want on the VM itself. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I do. All right. PC Geek's right, and I think that's what I do. Galactic Avenger, hey Tim, so you have a 3090. Now mining at all? No, I don't mining. I haven't gotten into mining. There's some other cool things that I've been thinking about, but no, not mining. No, I feel like I'd have to have like a whole entire farm of these to even get, I don't even think I could ever catch up. But I feel like, it's like, an arms race for mining. And unless you have, unless you've kind of built up your arms over time, it's hard to get started. And maybe it's not. Maybe there's some low-hanging fruit, but I think even the high-hanging fruit has been taking when it comes to mining. Maybe I'm wrong, but no, I've never considered it. Never considered it. I've daydreamed about like what it would be like and what the actual process is, but I've never pursued it. So maybe I should look into it a little bit. But then again, I don't want this 3090 on the whole time. This thing can draw up to 350 watts of power on just the video card, which is like insane. Because without the video card, I think my whole PC pulls that much. So it's a lot of power. It's to the point where my UPS alarm goes off if I'm doing machine learning for more than 30 seconds. Because the combination of the PC and the GPU is overdrawing power on my UPS and it goes off. But yeah, have you done folding at home thing? Just curious. Me personally, yeah, I have. I did for a while. So I did it a long time ago. So I did SETI stuff a long time ago because it was fun. It was fun just to do it. SETI's I don't think around anymore. And then I did folding at home for a while because it was fun. And then when the COVID stuff popped off, I did it again. And maybe I'm kind of I've done it on and off. And should I do it more? Probably. It's just it takes energy. And how much energy do you want to spend? And I 100% agree. It's for a good cause. I haven't added it back to my workloads yet. I probably should. Galactic Avenger, join a pool. You'll be fine. It's off topic, but straight cash while you sleep. I like straight cash, homie. I like straight cash, homie. I like passive income too. So yeah, if it's passive income, set it and forget it, and you just make money. Yeah, why wouldn't I? I think it's a little harder than that. We'll see. I don't know. I like it, Galactic Avenger, though. I like it. Maybe I'll try it. ISO, any machine learning videos in the pipeline? I kind of have two. So they're more on the deep learning side, and they're more of modeling. Getting data out of a predefined model called YOLO for object detection. So ISO, I have them. They're like 3 videos ago. I have them. Deep learning. Look at it with my 3090. Cool. Hey guys. Man, good timing, because I do have to leave a little bit early today, but man, absolutely fantastic stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for all the follows, subs, resubs, great questions. Thanks for asking a lot of good questions, a good variety today. I'm surprised at the amount of more like soft skill, organizational type of questions. Like I love answering those because, you know, I have some experience. I'm not super young, and I've been, you know, in the IT game for a while. I won't say how long. Might give away how old I am. But, you know, so I really appreciate those. I mean, my experience is you know, always going to be different than anyone else's. Hey, Galactic Avenger, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, end on a high note. It's always a high note. But thank you so much. Really appreciate it. But I appreciate those questions because that means you kind of trust my answers. So I appreciate it. And it's more than like, how do you fix this thing? It's like, hey, how do you do this thing in life? And so thank you for entrusting me with those questions. I really appreciate it. I really do. And I'm not being snarky or facetious. I generally like it when people ask me for advice. Not that I have the greatest advice, and most of the time your questions end up being me asking you 15 questions, but that's just because I want to make sure you thought of those things first. Anyways, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the help in the channel too. PC Geek and everyone that's helping out with questions that I can't get to right away. Really appreciate it. I will see you guys on Tuesday. And have a great weekend. Be safe and be good to each other. Take care, folks.